moves up. Victor Hedman walks in, passes, Johnson scores! Unbelievable. I've never seen anything close to this, Frank.
Gametime Vancouver.
Episode 10.
Right.
Another week, another episode.
Yeah, let's get right into it. I think the first thing we want to talk about is the Canucks because we're from Vancouver.
Yep. Amazing road trip. 4-2 is the record. I mean, that Nashville game, I think, is the best so far, don't you think?
Well, I think our home opener was probably the best. But yeah, I think it's really highlighting that, you know, our offense has been good for years, but I think our defense really got better.
100%. Those movements in the offseason were key. The penalty kill, I mean, it's winning games, you know?
Yeah.
That Nashville game, those two dumb penalties at the end, I was kind of scared.
Yeah.
And Myers just proving that he's not deserving that extension at all. And, like, he's disappointing a lot.
Yeah. My one concern is if we move him, he's just going to be an all-star defenseman. You know, like, Ekman Larsson's not doing too bad in Florida.
I mean, at this point, doesn't matter.
Justin Hall's not doing too bad in Detroit. It really bothers me when a player that I don't like on my team, we finally get rid of them, and then they do well on another team.
It feels like that's a story for the Canucks, like all the Canucks players.
Yeah, but so in terms of Canucks players, my number one player this season so far has been Demko. He's just a solid guy.
100%. I mean, the guy's he's winning games, but he's not as important for the games like last year. Because last year you really needed Demko to be at his best
And
to
he
win games.
was injured.
Yeah. But I think other player that's getting like a lot of good games and like good plays is Miller. He's performing really well, and no one's talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I think what Demko does is, like, if you watch the Philly game, you know, we were getting outperformed like crazy, and he kept us in it, even though we still lost.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Miller's doing good too.
Well, he was getting a lot of criticism last year because of his defensive game, and that's improved a lot this year. And he's getting offense too, and I think it's all because of Tuckett. I predicted that in the beginning of the season. And, I mean, they were made for each other.
We're only 6 games in, so you could still be wrong. But yeah, that's good. Jack Hughes.
You think he's...
Okay, here's bold take, hot take, whatever you want to call it. Jack Hughes seems to be, as of right now, like the best player this year. And I say this not only because he's got 17 points in 6 games. Like, that's incredible. Yeah, he's the top point getter. But it's also, like, the way he plays and the way, like, when he picks up the puck, things just open up. He creates so much space. And one thing that he's doing that players like McDavid aren't this season is he's creating opportunities and making the other players on his team better. Not just him getting points, but he's making the fully get better. Timo Meier get better.
I mean, those two guys are...
Jesper
good.
Bratt better.
Those players
Nico
are
Hischier.
good. I mean, New Jersey's like stacked to the brim.
Yeah.
Like one of the best teams in the league. So, of course, your best guy is going to perform well. I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that he's the best player in the league. He's
this season so far, I think so. I don't know. You can disagree, but that's okay. Who's your number one player this season?
Right now? I mean, he's up there for sure. The Brinket's really... Like, so if you go as of right so far, the Brinket has to be up there. Matthews...
So you're putting DeBrincat over Jack Hughes?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
You mean he's performing better than, like, his discrepancy or where people thought he was, where he is?
Yeah.
Probably the highest? I'd agree. I think
Matthews is better.
I think Dylan Larkin, somehow everyone is underrating Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin, I think, is what's driving DeBrincat to be better. I mean, he plays with speed. He plays with offense. He comes back on the play. And, that's what I look for. If a player like Dylan Larkin comes back on the play, I love it. You know, you see McDavid, one of the fastest players in the league. If if you don't skate on the back check, you're basically a liability out there.
I think Eichel's doing really well in Vegas too.
I don't like it.
You're,
Yeah, I know.
So
I'm
you're a
biased.
hater of Vegas, and like
I hate Vegas.
You have a point, right, about the scheduling.
Yeah, okay. I think I even mentioned it last episode. Vegas and Boston have had an insanely easy schedule. Now, I don't have the figures, but Vegas has only played Dallas. That's been their only difficult game. And like their next games are against like Chicago, who they've already played, and they're playing Montreal, and they've already played San Jose. Like they're playing all the terrible teams.
So what you're
Like
saying?
when the second best team that they've played so far is Philadelphia. That causes some red flags for me. And then same with
Dallas. What about Dallas?
yeah, I said that's
Oh,
the
okay.
one. That's the one team.
No, you said Philadelphia.
The one good team.
You're saying-
and it went to overtime. Like it was a close game. So they are a good team, yeah. But I'd like to see them play the Leafs,
I
the
wouldn't call-
Devils. Like I'd like to see them play some of the Eastern powerhouses, and I'd like to see them get destroyed.
So the Bruins, they've
and
had it
Boston-
handed out to them. Is what you're saying? Is that easy?
Yeah, I was talking about Vegas, but Boston also as well. And you're gonna see like they're probably gonna make the playoffs at this point, but they're not gonna be as good as last year.
Boston.
Yeah, I mean their team is terrible.
I mean, last year they just went
they
to the
broke-
first round.
Well, I know, but they broke records in the regular season. I'm saying it's going to go downhill in the next
What about New York?
couple weeks.
Oh no, that's preseason. Sorry, just checking the schedule for Boston. Yeah, Chicago,
Yeah.
Nashville,
It's been,
San Jose.
yeah, like it's been a pretty,
Yeah.
it's been a pretty easy.
I would say Boston has easier schedule than Vegas, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
And-
they're, I would say Boston is also this year a worse team than Vegas.
you would think Boston. Yeah,
I mean, when you have James Van Riemsdyk on your first line.
yeah, it's kind of rough. But if you're talking about easy schedules, you have to mention the Oilers as well. They haven't had
Yeah.
like a really hard schedule. They
Yeah,
play
I
the
know.
Canucks.
They played the Canucks
Nashville.
twice.
Yeah.
That's an easy schedule.
Philadelphia.
Talk about games you should be winning.
That game against
It's messed up.
that game against Minnesota. What a terrible game from
Yeah.
the Oilers.
Defensively not there. I mean, it really comes to show like the teams that they're playing aren't very good, but some of them like Philly and Vancouver are really buying into the systems, and what systems can do is just shut down
I'm telling you,
their top
it's all about the
offense.
systems.
And that's why McDavid and Draisaitl weren't producing as much. I mean, it's still like pretty much only good players on their team, but then
Yeah.
and now McDavid's injury has highlighted like they just
The lack
they
of a
just do
system.
not have depth.
No, not at all.
They cannot play without McDavid.
Yeah, I was watching that game against Winnipeg. I had a bet there,
Oh,
and
did you bet on them?
I bet on Winnipeg when they were losing 2-0 because I knew.
Yeah.
I instantly knew they were gonna lose.
The
And-
McChokesters.
Yeah, and 3-2 for the trying to disrupt
like-
the setup here.
Category Earth.
Why do you think it's this? Do you think it's just
What?
because of lack of system? The lack
Edmonton?
of success of the Edmonton Oilers, yeah.
I think McDavid and Draisaitl are such good playmakers that they make players look good when they
Mhm.
really aren't.
Yeah. So
I mean,
McDavid was asking for Brown, right?
yeah,
in the
Connor Brown.
offseason.
And that's just a pure ego move.
And the guy has
like let's
0
take a
points.
guy. Yeah, let's take a guy from like he was injured all of last season.
Yeah.
He played with McDavid played with him in juniors. That's,
Yeah,
that's why
that's
I wanted.
why.
Him. But he's just Connor Brown's not that good.
Yeah,
He's,
not worth
he's a
it.
ginger. Like it's
Okay.
No soul. No soul.
yeah, that was a bold move. But even Evander Kane is not that good anymore. Zach Hyman is a workhorse.
For Kane though, like I'm gonna play devil's advocate. He's playing a fourth line role, third line role, bottom six. He's not given the chances like
Well-
he used to. His first season with the
Yeah.
Oilers, right?
I mean, some games he's played top 6 minutes, but yeah, he's not.
So
It's not
you
given.
can give him some slack, but like, yeah, he's not performing to the level he's supposed to. And the two goalies, I mean,
Well, come on. You know what? I have friends that I'm a Leafs fan. You see it right here.
okay,
I never liked Jack Campbell. when you take an AHL goalie, it's same with Spencer Martin, and then you put them on a somewhat good team and they play well, and it's like they won't win you the games, right? They're only winning games because the offense, defense are playing well, and as soon as you get like someone even better in, then yeah. So Jack Campbell, I always didn't really think he was that good, and then Edmonton overpaid for him.
They took the bite.
And now he's an overpaid backup goalie to Stuart Skinner, who
It's not that good.
is
either.
also not that good.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, those are my opinions on Edmonton.
Also, do you think? Well, yeah. I mean, it's also part of the system that the coach uses for Edmonton.
Yeah,
It's a system that without McDavid doesn't work, and you can see it in this game. And hopefully, he doesn't come back before he plays, or the Canucks play Edmonton again.
yeah. Hopefully, you know what? Hopefully Edmonton has an off year. Same
And
with
I said it at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season. The Oilers won't make the playoffs.
Same with Calgary. I hope Vegas. You know what? All Pacific teams. I'm not cheering for any of them.
Of
except for the
course.
Canucks.
Yeah, I mean
That's how.
that's a given.
You know, we've seen better luck in the regular season,
Hmm.
and that's, yeah,
It's funny how
that wasn't a very good sentence.
it's almost like the Canucks knocked out the Oilers in the first game of the season with that 8-1.
Yeah,
So ever since, like, downhill from
and
there.
they really tried to come back with that second game, but
They
good
couldn't.
defense.
No. So
Do you want to talk about William Nylander before we get into the bigger topic?
for sure,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about, but
Well, I mean,
let me get his stats out.
he's. I don't want to say this, but like he's been
Underperforming.
he's been top 1 or 2 on the Maple Leafs this season. He's been their best, but if not that, their second best player this season.
6 games, 5 goals, 5 assists.
He's been a monster.
0 in the plus minus, which it's okay. 2 penalty minutes.
But like when you watch the game, he's got that like the takeaway
That dog in
abilities.
him.
Got the dog in him. Plus, Marner and Matthews are playing together. But he's playing with Tavares. You know,
Mhm.
Tavares is a slow guy, so to be 0, I don't know.
Yeah, he's getting
Pretty
paid,
good.
eh? Like
I think he's getting paid. yeah.
not by the Leafs.
I wouldn't mind if we paid him like 10.
Do you guys have the cap space?
Well, we will next year. We just won't be able to sign anyone.
Would you sacrifice that for Nylander?
Yeah.
Run it back.
Or at least do one of those sign and trade. You know, because I think the worst case scenario is if we say, okay, whatever, he's going to walk
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the season. Like, then we get no value for him. But he's a top 20, 30 guy in the league.
Yeah, it's
So
a hard piece to replace.
So yeah, it's not only is it a hard piece to replace, but I would see it as a tragedy to see him walk without getting anything in return for him.
True.
Like I'd put him up there with like Kevin Fiala. I don't know. He's one of those players.
Would you trade him away in the deadline if you were the Leafs and he doesn't want to resign, or you know,
Well,
like let's say you're the
I think
GM.
if you look at his stats, I think he does want to resign. I mean, and all he's ever said was, "I want to stay in Toronto. I want to
Of
stay in
course he'll
Toronto."
say that, yeah.
But what would you offer me? Like, what would be on the table?
I think he deserves 9 to 10.
No, but I mean, what would be on the table for a trade?
Oh, yeah, that's the thing, right?
Like, who would take? Like, you could see
Like whatever you get,
L.A.
whatever you get,
want
you're
him.
gonna be disappointed with that,
Yeah,
pretty much, right? Unless you get Bedard in the first.
I'd settle for a little bit less than that, but because considering we don't have that much cap space, and he might end up walking for free, so you got to take those into consideration. But yeah, I would want a decent player / prospect in a first.
Yeah, I think he
And
just scored.
It would be really funny though if they trade him away at the deadline, and then he goes to free agency and we sign him again. That would be a big play if
That's-
you're listening.
Yeah, I think that's the
Challenging.
plan for the Canucks and Ethan Bear. Pretty sure he's gonna re-sign with Vancouver once he
I don't-
comes back from injury. You don't think so?
Well, I think that would be a very Canucks thing to do, but I don't think we should.
He plays
Ethan Bear's
well
not
with
a very good player.
Hughes. No, he's not the best, but he's a good companion to Hughes, I think.
Yeah, well, we didn't make the playoffs last year, and we tried that. So.
Okay. So you want to talk about the West against the East, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the West, compared to last year or even a couple years ago, has
Is improving.
improved a lot in terms of like quality.
But, if you look at the top 16 teams, more than half are the East. And you look at the bottom teams, the majority of them are your Western teams. Like by the end of the season, I don't think Edmonton's going to stay
Sadly
down
it's
there.
not, no.
But your San Jose, Anaheim, Chicago mix of teams.
Seattle, even
Seattle,
they're
yeah.
like kind of low in the league.
Yeah, but I'm thinking by game 82, where will we be at?
Why do you think that is?
They're rebuilding, like most of those teams,
yeah,
right? They're finishing the rebuild.
I think in a way, it's all based on how the management style is, and a lot of the bigger markets are in the East.
But I'm pretty sure,
and the East has managed to go through a rebuilding phase at the right time. Like very few Western teams went through a rebuild in like that 2014 to 2016 range. Colorado was one of them, and now they have an awesome team.
So you think majority is timing?
Timing, and also I think there are a lot of West teams that just refuse to go into rebuild. I mean, in a couple of years, I think you're going to see the same thing with the East. I mean, you'll see a team like Nashville.
Yeah.
Like Nashville has never really rebuilt. And the same with Minnesota. Minnesota's sort of just always been an average run-of-the-mill team.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis never really tried to rebuild.
Has Boston rebuilt? They haven't.
Well,
they
need to.
The team. So that's what I'm saying, right?
To,
so out of the top 10, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
So Vegas first place in the league, Boston second, Colorado third, Detroit fourth, Dallas fifth, the Vancouver Canucks sixth place, New York Rangers seventh, Toronto Maple Leafs eighth, Tampa ninth, and LA 10th. So it's well balanced.
No, but I'm saying by game 82. But if you also look in that middle section, where the teams that are currently qualified for a playoff spot, there are some 500 teams, the teams that are 500 in the East, in the West that are making the playoffs, whereas the teams with the same amount of points. But we're only 6 games in, so anything could change. But I think timing is a huge factor. And those teams that don't, I think in a couple of years you're going to see Pittsburgh, Washington. I think they're going to be in the dumps because they haven't.
Boston
can you name more than 2 prospects from each team? No, not really. Like they're going to be terrible teams. I think you're going to see the rise of your Buffalo.
Out of these top
Ottawa,
10 teams in the East, Tampa, I think in 5 years or even 3, they're going to be one of the bottom teams. Toronto,
don't touch. No, Toronto's good for the next 7. Yeah, I think we got Matthews and Marner.
Give him 5.
Do you think you can miss the playoffs with Matthews and Marner?
And then you're gonna be in Edmonton, with 2 good players and then a bunch of role players.
No, but because we're such a good market. Edmonton doesn't have nearly the market that the Leafs do. So players want to play for the Leafs because they get publicity and fame. Like Max Domi would never sign for $4 million in Edmonton. Klingberg never signed for $4 million. Bertuzzi would never sign for $5 million.
So what? It's all just a popularity thing too, or what has
a
more?
lot of it is where players will sign that bridge deal because if you look at the media is like Toronto. Like if Mitch Marner has a toothache or wakes up on the left side of the bed, TSN and Sportsnet are reporting on it.
Yep.
And so if you're Tyler Bertuzzi or Max Domi, you're like, okay, I'm going to try to go onto a high offense, high market team where I'll get tons of publicity and stuff, and then I'll increase in fame and I'll get paid next.
Yeah. Talking about TSN Sportsnet.
And if you buy into a team that's really good, then you might win a cup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's part of the
true.
reason they
And you get
take
the ring.
the discounts.
The ring, but I don't know if you're gonna get that on Toronto.
No.
One of those
Yeah, one of those.
fallacies.
They're Canadian to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
ESPN, TSN, Sportsnet, they all receive sponsors from betting partnerships, right? The NHL is really pushing the betting into the consumers. And now Shane Pinto, that as of the information right now, hasn't bet on any NHL games, has a 41 game suspension.
41 games. Yeah.
That's half of the season.
That's
right?
crazy.
To be fair, would he be playing in them anyways?
Okay, thoughts on that?
That's not what we're talking about.
But
though.
I think it's you know what I think it's ridiculous to suspend a player from playing when he's not signed.
Okay, I think he's part of the team. He has, let's call it insider information. He knows the systems.
but-
He knows the league.
But it's not really insider.
And the guy's
he
like-
just has more knowledge.
Yeah,
it's like
than
going
the average
it's like
gambler.
going into a casino and being really good at playing blackjack. You know, you have better odds to win. It's like that,
No.
but it's not guaranteed.
It's like going to the casino and being a professional blackjack player.
Yeah.
The guy's a professional NHL
Exactly.
player, so he shouldn't be betting.
But you
I think
don't-
it's in the rules. I think it's
The
even in your
definition of a
contract.
professional blackjack player is they
You
make
get-
money
Yeah.
from.
You want to know something crazy
blackjack.
though? No, but you know, like professional blackjack players, professional gamblers, they also get blacklisted from casinos.
Yeah.
True.
It's just something that happens. So this is just what happened.
So he's got a competitive advantage, but if he wasn't even betting on the NHL, then why is he getting suspended
That's the
for
thing,
over
right?
40 games?
True.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
And it's hypocritical from the NHL to ban a player for 41 games for gambling other sports when they support gambling.
That's true. That's where most of their money
Yeah.
probably goes. Like they get. That's who pays them.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Like every time you watch a game,
Yeah.
but 365.
Yeah, and he's not
Yeah.
even on the team. He hasn't been signed. The poor guy.
That doesn't matter
The
though.
poor guy is just trying to train,
Get some
work
parlays
out,
going.
get better at hockey, and he's
Well,
watching.
clearly he's not trying to
he's-
get better at hockey when he's laying down fat parlays. So
No, but he's watching hockey, maybe the KHL, maybe the SHL, you know, some of those high leagues, and he's like, you know what? I think this team's gonna win.
Maybe some ping pong.
But the poor guy is a restricted free agent,
sure.
and Ottawa doesn't have any cap to sign him, so
Yeah, I mean, it's
I kind
tragic.
of feel bad for them.
I don't know. You can look both ways with it, right? Like
No.
So you think the NHL shouldn't have
I look
suspended
both
him?
ways. I always have an opinion.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, he's still associated with the Ottawa Senators, so he's still like a part of their team, right?
Okay. He's
And-
associated, yeah.
Yeah. So what does that say? It's not for him,
Okay,
but
but
what
he
does that
didn't
say
bet on
about
the
the team?
NHL.
So what do you think the NHL should do then, or should have done?
Nothing.
Just let it be.
What? But he didn't do anything bad.
I'm trying to read. Yeah, I
There's
mean, the
very
guy.
little
Yeah, the guy
information at the
didn't bet.
time.
The guy didn't bet on any NHL games.
But yeah, if he didn't bet on any NHL games, like, yeah, the NHL, it's none of your business.
Yeah. I mean, we can all agree.
Yeah.
No, of
The
course I
NHL.
agree. I'm just saying that there's a different standpoint, right? Like you look at it from a different angle, and it looks like even if he had nothing to do with it, it looks like an inside thing, right? Like where he gets an inside scoop from, let's say, his friend is a football player and he bets on football because he's like, oh, my team's got this new strat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the same thing when Gerard texts me his parlay, and he's like, "What do you think?" You know, like just because someone has more, like, I get that the gambling industry is all about making money, but some people know more than others.
100%.
That's just a fact.
What if this was just a scheme to get people that don't gamble to be like, oh, I wonder what's going on in there, and then just get it back in.
Publicity.
This is publicity right here.
They're like, he was making too much money. Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah, exactly. Did he even make money off of it?
There's
Who knows?
like almost no. There's almost no
It's almost like
news on it.
It's
But
almost like the NHL.
all we know is that
Yeah.
he didn't bet on an NHL game.
Yeah.
So what could be wrong?
He probably didn't win, and he was
Yeah,
embarrassed.
it's almost like the NHL saw his name bet 365 and said, "Oh, banned from the league."
Shane.
Wow.
It could have been. Imagine it was a different Shane Pinto.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Also, Shane Pinto, he's getting way too much coverage. I was watching a game. It was Carolina versus some other team. And, like Ottawa wasn't involved. And they're like, so what about Shane Pinto? What do you think he's gonna happen with him? And yeah, I can, but I've seen a lot on TSN about Shane Pinto, and
That's just the hot news right now. Like
let the
everybody
guy
wants a
breathe.
piece.
yeah. And now this betting stuff, I don't know. Focus on, and there's some players coming back from major injury that aren't even being
Broadcasted.
publicized. Like you'll see in probably by the time this airs, you're gonna see Svechnikov back from injury. He's like a day out from injury, and there has been nothing online, like just like random articles that I have to read, not TSN or anything mainstream.
Yep.
And Patrick Kane.
Well, because
yeah.
nobody wants to read about like unless you're into
would love
sports.
to
I
read
know.
about That's what I'm saying.
The people that aren't that into sports don't want to read about that. They want to hear scandals.
Yeah, that's true though.
Like that's media. They want to hear
But
scandals.
We're not keeping up with the Kardashians here. We're
Pretty much.
No, but like you're a Sportsnet. You want to get viewers. Is it Shane Pinto gambling, or an injury?
Or but his toe healed.
I would report on Shane
both.
Pinto gambling. I wouldn't like some of the speculation stuff that they do is kind of crazy.
It is. It's like it's annoying.
And it is so Leafs focused. And I cheer for the Leafs, but come on, guys.
Gets annoying really quick.
There are other huge franchises out there. Like Montreal is not that far off from Toronto in terms of fans.
Popularity, yeah.
And popularity.
But they're French.
Fair point. Chicago, New York.
Yeah, but that's
like
in the States.
Boston, those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Talking about that.
But
Keep it short. But what do you think about the frenzy? Frozen frenzy. See, I even forgot the name. The Frozen frenzy.
I like it.
You like the idea? It's a good idea.
I like watching hockey, and I think I honestly it really bothers me if all the games start at 4 and then all the games start at 7.
That's true.
Or 7 and 10 if you live 3 hours away from us.
Yeah.
But like when they all start at and then they're all in intermission at the same time, I just want to.
You want to just change the channel.
Of hockey.
No, I think the idea is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just like play it in Canada too, right? Like it was only in the States. Like if you go to the TV and try to watch the games, it was only one, like your original game,
Well,
and that's it.
Come on now, like your best like viewership is
Player.
in Canada.
Yeah.
Your best players come from Canada.
Exactly.
So why not have Canadians watch it? Like I'm
Wait,
just
you
thinking
said best, not most. Like I think is
most viewers from like Canada has the most. So I was actually looking at some weird advanced stats today, and on Quant Hockey I was just looking at top 10 cities for points, games played, all that kind of stuff, and like 1 through 10 all from Canada, and then a bunch of Canadian ones are like sprinkled through, and there's cities like Moscow and like major cities from other like you have like why can't I think of a city from
I mean, Sweden,
Michigan?
Finland. Oh, okay.
Michigan's a state, but there's a city in Michigan that a bunch of players are from, or like
Detroit?
a city in Minneapolis. There's a bunch of players from, but like top heavy, all Canadians.
Ontario.
Yeah,
A lot of Ontario guys,
a
right?
lot of Ontario, a lot of Alberta,
BC.
a lot of BC.
BC.
Vancouver was like 8 or something.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
And then there's a city. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it, but there's a city in Sweden. I was like, they have like very few players, but they have a lot of points. And I was looking, they had Daniel Henriksen. They had Naslund. Basically, the best forwards. Like they had like the best Swedish players. Hedman. It was crazy.
Ormskoldzifbik.
All right.
Say that again.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the episode for today.
Yep. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Whatever.
All right.
Game time! Game time!